So we have a long day of technical conversations, and we want to bring some of the, everybody topic, but it's also critically important in terms of fundraising and go-to-market, because it's been chaotic last 2 years in terms of, startup popping up like never crazy like ever before, and everybody's agentic, everybody's doing something in that AI world, Copilot. So we just want to dive in something and kind of see how to screen through the noise and find out what's real, what's essence. First of all, we want to give everybody a chance to introduce themselves, starting from Grace.
Hey, everyone. Hello, hi, everyone. My name is Grace Kong. I'm the founder of Smart Venture Media. I host a popular VC podcast called Smart Venture Podcast. And 2 years ago, I started streaming. So every day I go live with a VC or founder or executive. So we already feature some of Silicon Valley's most iconic CEOs or VPs from like Google, Meta, Amazon, Snowflake, NVIDIA, a lot of big tech companies, as well as founder of Square, Loom, Cruiselink, Craigslist, a lot of like the OG tech companies, as well as like founder of Higgsfield, Genspark, Turing, Crusoe, among other like hot AI companies as well. We also feature a lot of amazing partners from different VC firms like Sequoia, ACNC, Lightspeed, Basman, NEA, among others, as well as Ashish went on our show as well. Clap for him. Yeah, so that's a little bit of background for me. So beyond podcasts, we did 3 summits in the past 365 days, and luckily we had the president of Cisco speaking there, former CEO of Instagram, CMO of a lot of different companies like Webflow, Vanta, among other top companies. We actually hosted our own summit on GTM. So head of GTM at 11 Labs, head of sales at Cloud Code, among other amazing AI companies, came to our conference as well. That's a little bit about me.
Hey everyone, my name is Ankur Saxena. Pleasure to be here. I'm an investment director at TDK Ventures, and I lead investments coverage for generative AI, AI infrastructure, and physical AI. Like everyone else, I'm investing in AI, no surprises. We are deep tech, early stage investors, pre-seed, seed, Series A for the most part, and we invest globally on behalf of TDK Corporation.
Yeah. Hey all, my name is Ashish. I'm a managing partner at Seligman Ventures. Seligman as a firm has been around for more than 150 years. Seligman funded the creation of Panama Canal, funded railroads, and took General Motors public back in the day. In the current form, Seligman Investments is a $30 billion plus hedge fund and mutual fund business. And we launched Seligman Ventures about 8 months ago with $500 million to back the most ambitious founders in the spaces of AI, cloud, security, and data center hardware. It's a 3-person team. My partner and I make all decisions. And we, in the past life, before founding this fund, backed companies like Cohere, which is one of the early pioneers in large language model space, Harness, one of the leaders in DevOps CI/CD automation, and Isovalent. And we've been actively investing. So if you're starting something amazing, come chat with me after this.
Hi, everyone. My name is Wilson Lin. I'm an early stage investor at DCG. People know it as Digital Currency Group. We've been super successful in the blockchain and fintech space. We're early investors into companies like Coinbase, Circle, Kraken. And we're looking to replicate that in the world of AI. So we invest pre-seed and seed. We just start off with relatively modest check sizes, 100K to 500K. But we can invest across multiple stages, all the way through IPO. We are also LPs in about 60, close to 70 other venture funds. So we speak a lot also with emerging managers. And then we also build our own companies. So one of our companies filed for IPO last year. Hopefully the window opens up, and I'll have a good outcome on that. But yeah, investing across the AI stack, infrastructure and applications, also doing physical AI as well. So excited to be here.
Hi everyone, my name is Paul Fang. I'm the founder and CEO at the Bear Founders Club. So we are a startup community with over 120K founders and investors. In terms of early stage startups, we have over 5,000, and for late stage and pre-IPO company, we have 8,000 in the community. And we also recently launched our BFC AI Gateway. So basically, we provide a unified API platform to connect business with like over 100 plus leading AI models. It's great pleasure to be here. Thank you.
All right, so now we have this amazing mix of investors and committee leaders and people knows a lot of founders and investors in the past. So first question goes to the street investor. Spend a lot of time in the AI space. So basically, every AI founder right now is pitching some sort of agent, copilot, automation. We talk about that. So as investors, what are separate companies that are building long-lasting value versus from those benefiting from temporary excitement around this category, and what is not going to be durable in this space right now? Go from Ankur. Go ahead.
I'll go first. So, yeah, I think it's definitely a very hyped up area with a lot of noise. How do we kind of filter out the signal from the noise? I think the first signal we look for is workflow depth over feature breadth. So a lot of the pitches that I receive are basically a smart sort of UI layer on top of an existing workflow, but that does not cut it. I think that is just not deep enough. So we look for someone who has the right kind of credibility and domain experience to actually go really deep into an existing workflow and turbocharge it and deliver a certain economical benefit on, through automation. The other thing that I feel differentiates a startup from the rest of the pack is this observation that most of the agentic workflows originate from and end on human-delivered output or input. And I feel the frontier, the cutting edge in agentic AI is not intelligence. It's the interface between humans and machines or humans and agents. I think that is the part that is lost on a lot of startup founders that focus a lot of their time and energy pitching and building just the product, their own core product, but not caring about where they operate in the real world in terms of interaction with humans. So that is, I think, what separates the good ones from the rest of the pack. I think the 10 to 20% last mile automation where humans are actually involved in the loop is what a lot of agentic AI startups don't factor into their product roadmap. So I think the agentic AI startups that succeed tend to have the right kind of auditability, explainability, and accountability so that humans can actually be not in the loop, but at least on the loop and supervise and monitor the agentic AI deployments and build that trust.
Yeah, so from my perspective, when we talk to an early stage startup, a lot of the focus is on the team. Why are you doing what you're doing? So for example, when we invested in Cohere a long time ago, there was a founder, almost pre-revenue at that time, and raising it, at that time was crazy valuation, now it all makes sense. But he had written this, he was co-author of the paper, Attention is All You Need, which kickstarted the entire Gen AI revolution. Worked with amazing people like Jeffrey Hinton, who is one of the godfathers of AI. So we pay close attention to what is your life journey, why are you doing what you're doing, and what have you done that basically is making you prepared for this moment. So start with the team, and then we talk about technology focus. One of the key things was key technical insight. Like, do you have something, if you told a 10x engineer, can they build it themselves? And if the answer is no, then 2 years ago, you had a moat. By the way, that moat is now disappearing. So now it's for me, the question is, can I build it using AI prompting and get it to 80% to whatever this founder is building? And if it is true, it's very hard to have a technical moat. So then you look up and down the stack, right? You start with the application layer. A lot of the work is basically orchestrating workflows. And I think there is some moat there, where if I'm a lawyer, if I go to my office and then I'm doing redlining, can you train a model based on my daily workflow and specific data that's proprietary, that hides in my private VPC? Then there is a moat. You go down the stack and you're starting to talk about middleware and model layer. If you have to train a model, like training a model, it used to cost like 10 to 15 million for each run 2 years ago. Now that cost has gone down in a way, but also like the model sizes has gone up, so you need more GPUs, you're burning them day in, day out to get the first version. Does it work or not? Like, how does it perform? We see a lot of players that kickstart, on the top of the leaderboard, and then, performance fades out. We saw some of this with open source models. I won't name names, but there was another one which was one of the top performing, and now it is not. And then you go down into the data center hardware as well. So data center is not ready for what's coming. The modern data center is built for cloud workloads, and AI is not even there. So then the problem becomes like, Do I have enough capacity in terms of compute? Do I have the power? And as the workloads move from your training to inference, is my data center even ready? What kind of chips am I using? How many GPUs can I stack on each rack, on each tray? And what kind of performance gains can I get based on the memory utilization for my workloads? And this is the kind of work that is hard for someone who's just starting in the industry to build. Like, it needs long domain expertise. You have to understand how to work with your suppliers, how to design a chip and tape it out. So that mode still exists. So if I look at up and down the stack, I think lower the stack, more the technology that we focus on, and higher the stack, closer to the application end user, it's more about the workflows, and that's how the market is evolving.
Yeah, no, great points. I think just a couple examples. When we're talking about workflows and depth of understanding a content area over just a very surface level feature, I'll just compare and contrast two startups that we looked at. One, it tried to gather some data, and it was just like draft an email, and it was essentially sort of like a glorified content drafter, right? And the reason why it's not valuable is because it's not a super painful thing to do, and you're not solving something that people are really necessarily going to be willing to pay a lot for. In contrast, we looked at another company that was basically like a site reliability engineer, sort of automated agent and resolution. And the founder had been an SRE himself, and had also a very strong AI ML background. And so he had lived through this pain, and speaking to lots of people who had also lived through this pain of being woken up at 3 a.m. and checking their notifications, trying to resolve this during a holiday or whatever it is. And so what we appreciate about it is both an understanding of the pain and them using agentic workflows to actually solve something that no one really wanted to do, right? That's the magic of this, is you can have these agents do things while you're sleeping, literally sleeping. The second part is just understanding the real workflow, right? What is a human experience? How could it be improved? And in this world, what can an agent do that a human would find painful or not have the insight to do that maybe an agent can do, or have multiple agents be doing it in parallel? So I'd say those are really the core things that for us we really look for. I agree, like, a team that has experienced the pain can really build off of that and have a true depth of knowledge into what exactly does that agent need to do that is complex within an enterprise. What files does it need to tap into? What integrations really have to be there? And then how do you really build something that is as reliable or more reliable than a human?
Those are amazing points. And I often wonder, too, at this age, what I'm looking for as an investor. And something also triggered me quite a bit is the go-to-market side of things. We'll get to that in the next question. But for now, I want to go for Grace and Paul, because you guys are both super connectors and seen so many founders and great founders you talk to or you live in your network. So from this generation, the definition of success founders, how different from, let's say, 5 years ago, or even 10 years ago? Like, has that changed? When building become commoditized, is that go-to-market going to be the key things you see founder that are successful in this era?
I think okay, I guess I'll just start. So I think there's like three things makes the founder special right now. I'm also an angel investor. When I'm looking at the different deals or like the deals that eventually got backed by some of like the tier 1 firms is essentially, I think number one is speed. Ultimately, because of like nowadays, like being cloud shed is kind of like inevitable because of like technically right now, it's really hard to actually find a technical mode because everything could be copied within like the next 6 months. So go to market or like differentiation is purely built on like personal brand as well as like marketing strategies. From a startup perspective, like number one, I would say it's like speed. What is I guess like the execution or like we're in like a building era now. I feel like number two is like I would say like the founder right now that are winning is like building every single tool in-house. So essentially like in the past people are buying a software off shelf because of there's like a switch between like previously, right now, is like previously it was like a per seat based pricing for different SaaS companies. Now it's really outcome based pricing or usage based pricing. Recently, I think people probably all have seen the token maxing news as like startup or like companies are spending. Millions of dollars on tokens, yet that may not be making them more effective. Though, like I feel like being in the builder mode will create the problem of like token maxing, but on the other hand, it will give you a more tailored solution instead of just like buying a product off shelf. And number three, I would say it's like probably just like storytelling ability. Essentially, you have to convince VC to give you money, and then you have to convince customer to like sign with your product versus like picking your competitors, and you have to recruit the best talent. So I would say like being able to build a personal brand is extremely important.
Paul, yeah.
Yeah, I think at Bear Founder Club, we have over like 120K members right now. So I'm talking to founders every day. So our mission is to serve like 10 million founders in the next decade. I think for me, I think the top three traits that make successful AI founder. Number one, I think they are AI native problem solver. So they don't treat AI as a feature, but they redefine the workflow and also redesign the structure of the company. And so, and for them, they use AI tools every day. They even use AI employees in the company. I think this kind of mindset is very important. You have to be AI native problem solver. Number two, the same with what Grace mentioned. They move with extraordinary speed. So in the age of AI, building products is become so easy. Everyone can use Cloud Code or ChatGPT to build a product in just 2 days. So product is not a mode. So everyone can iterate probably dozens of times in a day. So it definitely speed up the experimentation. So I think the one who evolves fast will win. So number one, number two is the speed. And then the third one is I found the founders who are very successful, they are really good at building network because right now everyone have access to the right technology. Everyone and so easy to have access to the foundation model or the API. So the problem is not who has access to technology. The problem is who has access to the right people. So I think for everyone who can build good network is very important. So I think that's top three traits when I see founders that matters most.
That's a great answer. I think and they cover a lot of questions already I'm proposing right now, so I'm going to go a little off the book. We have seen a big wave of physical AI. I was deep tech founder 7 years ago, and it was hard raising capital for deep tech. Because it's long, it's lengthy, it's milestone based. The payment come later. So, but this year, I think deep tech getting just unprecedentedly popular. So I know we touched a little bit on the thesis that we're covering right now. You guys are interested, but I want to hear everyone chime on this one. That do you think the physical world is going to be the next Silicon Valley main theme that is going to solve the software issue where Anthropic is killing everyone? Like, what's your take on that one?
Actually, this is such a great question because this morning I had the Bedrock Robotics founder on our podcast. I think like nowadays, like thinking about, I feel like eventually, like how. So he was saying that like 40 out of 100 newcomers in the, I don't remember it was a list whether it's Fortune 500 or something very, I would say like traditionally legit, quote unquote, like is hardware company. So think about Apple or Tesla, all these companies have a hardware component. In the end of the day, AI have to really be implemented into your day-to-day life. So I feel like that's why physical AI is like really taking a leap right now, because the last generation of physical AI was literally people, I guess, like reinventing a car. But now, like everything is like controlled through AI because of of there's so much software that's already involved, the differentiation is extremely hard, and you have to raise a lot of money to build an AI model, same as like you're building an actual hardware company. So now it is like creating a different software companies. Differentiation is like kind of like we're at a cap of like doing so. So I feel like that's maybe why. Another thing is like from our fellowship, so I created my own fellowship. It's called G Fellow. So essentially, it's like the top student from different schools in the U.S. all came together to source deals, talk about like AI trends, and like we have like some top investors coming and then give us like mini advisory sessions. So one of the things that like the student we're talking about is HaaS, hardware as a service. So essentially, like the students are really bullish about deep tech because of they feel like they want to implement something that they can actually touch. So the trends I'm seeing on campus, people are building like the electronic, I guess like all AI focused like vending machine. People are making boba or ramen using a vending machine. I feel like that's kind of like the last generation of technology.
Sequoia did a
so interesting.
AI coffee maker, like coffee machine deal. So just put that in perspective. It's getting popular.
Yeah, I want to give.
So I'll keep it brief. I invest in physical AI. I like physical AI, but I think it is really, really overhyped. I think a lot of money is going towards funding teams that have no experience in the physical part of the physical AI, right? They are like the AI companies that have innovated on the model side, and they are trying to apply it to the physical world with no real experience of deploying systems in real world. So I'm trying to be financially disciplined and trying to not get caught in the hype, but I feel like this physical AI hype will correct faster than the Gen AI hype.
So I think this is the next big thing. I buy into that. I think a few years ago, if you had a robot do things out in the open in a warehouse, it was just not possible. You would have to manually code every single action, grab this, put it here. But now the rate at which things are changing is mind-boggling, absolutely. And I think the smartest people are, like you just look at like among your network, what are smartest people doing? They are going into that space right now. And right now, this physical AI, embodied AI, this feels like a few years ago when OpenAI, Anthropic, Cohere were all kind of early, 2 or 3 years ago. And there's going to be this moment where suddenly, just like ChatGPT, things will all come together. Are we there right now? I don't think so. Will we get there? Answer is yes. Because like I'll start with a simple example. Like you are out in the open, you're trying to catch a ball. And in your mind, like if we have a model mimicking our mind, like do you follow on the trajectory of the ball so you can grab it? Or do you paint every single frame? Like, hey, there was a piece of grass, some kid was playing in the background. And different model vendors are following different approaches to solve this problem. You have like just pure play software vendors like AMI Labs and others who are building technology like JEPA and others, and solving that pixel level problem or that prediction in a latent space. A lot of work is happening in that space. The next space is obviously robotics, and how do you make every robot intelligent so you can work at the interface of robots and give it brain power. So those models are also getting into production. Humanoids is obviously a key thing. I think there will be some time before we'll see humanoids in our houses and hospitals. But the good news is this is happening. I think this is real. There's a lot of problems to be solved there. The data just does not exist. Like to train an LLM, you could just scan the internet and look at PDFs and web pages and download all the stuff and encode it into weights that you could use. But here, how many videos are there? And that's why some of the video generation models, when you give it a task, they fail to solve it. But if you take a video generation model and put it out into production, that's why robots just won't work. So what you need is high quality, high fidelity data. So the data vendors will become key, where you will have people wearing sensors and cameras and generating real data in real time for post-training of some of these models. Monitoring these will be a big problem as well. So observability becomes a key pain point. Inference becomes a key pain point too, because the way you do inference for a world model is very different from the way you do inference for a large language model, just because you run into KV cache issues, which keeps growing exponentially with the volume of data. Because in world model, you are basically predicting the next state of the world instead of the next token. So exciting time to be around in Silicon Valley, and I do believe this is the next big thing.
I'll just tell you where I'm looking at. I hope it's the next big thing. I hope it's a big thing, because I want someone to do my laundry. I want someone to pick up the toys. I want someone to do a whole bunch of stuff for me. A few ways I'm thinking about it, and I would love to hear your thoughts and feedback as well. One option is going horizontal in some layer where the team has a specific advantage. So for example, there's a company that we're excited about that just focuses on the safety layer for robotics. So this team, professor headed up an AI safety lab out of one of the top universities. And so his domain expertise is safe AI, robotic simulation, understanding safety, sitting on the committees that develop the regulations, et cetera. So if you're going to go horizontal, pick a place where you are the best in the world. That's one option. The other is, similarly, going a particular vertical that is very niche, where you also have domain expertise and can generate a data advantage. So for example, a company we're interested in doing interior construction, right? So for that, you need to be able to have a real understanding of what does this world of interior construction look like, painting, sanding, taping, et cetera. Do you have relationships with general contractors, real estate companies, et cetera? And then just dominate that category. And then you can do construction for data centers and expand from there, then do electrical, you can do plumbing, you can do other categories. That's where I'm currently thinking. That said, I have also invested in sort of like a pure data collection company, right? There's like dozens of these, right? Strap a camera, wear some gloves, capture information, maybe it's force, all different things, map the 2D to 3D, cross embodiment, et cetera. I think that's a tricky place to play unless you have some specific nuance that is hyper valuable. So those are the things that I'm interested in.
Same here. I bet on physical AI. So back in January, I also moderate panel in CES. So the title is Last Mile of Physical AI. I think physical AI right now is going out of our lab and start to go into production. There's one company I'm very impressed. Like it's called Neolix. Basically, it's in China, and they're already selling over 10K autonomous driving trucks. So basically, they're already running in China. Also, they get licensed in Middle East, so they're also running in Middle East right now. And we see so many robotic companies, as all the panelists said, they're replacing like firefighters. They're doing some labor work that humans can't do. They're also trying to do this tedious labor work. So I think that would be the huge wave for the next cycle. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for this amazing thoughts and sharing what you think about the next wave. And we're unfortunately at time. And I know we probably have a lot of chat on. So we have a cocktail that is in the second floor. If you want to stay around with the VIP ticket holders, please find the speakers up there. We can have more conversation going. But for now, thank you all for this amazing day. And I want to give a long thank list to my friends who help on different kind of things. Wilson, Anchor, Ashish, Dr. Paul Fong, and Grace. Thank you so much for sticking through the day. And I think we have great turnout. Feel free to grab a drink upstairs, unwind a little bit. And we'll see everybody up there. Not everybody, but sort of the ticket holders. Maybe we're everybody. Maybe just we'll give a beer away. So. Okay, and the volunteers come up. We'll take a photo. Volunteers, can we get a